Hello, welcome to today's video. My name is Olaniran. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to create background in Adobe Illustrator and how to work with background in Adobe Illustrator. So now let's get started. To create a background in Adobe Illustrator, you have some things that you have to take note. One, what type of background do I need for my design in Adobe Illustrator? Do I need a plain background? Do I need a pattern background? Okay, or do I need some abstract background? These questions you have to ask yourself. Or did I need a gradient background? What type of background do I need to create? Okay, so now for the first one, for you to be able to remember, this is your artboard. So for you to be able to have your background here, let's assume you want to make a design, then you have to draw a shape to give it a color. Okay, you have to draw a shape to cover your artboard. Then you come to here or the color palette here. Okay, under this color panel here. Then with this, you'll be able to select your what? Your color. And if you have any specific color code in mind, for example, just enter the color code, the X color code, that is the 6 digits or combination of digits and character. Okay, for color code, if you have it, just enter it in this box here and click on enter. So this is the color code of this particular color now. Okay, I can go on, I can go on and have something like this. Can you see now? So these are examples of color code, and you can just enter it here, or you can easily make use of color picker tools here. Do you get it now? So it's as simple as that. So with this now, we have been able to create a background like this now. Can you see a plain background for this design? Then we can have other elements we want to have on it. Okay, for example, let's assume we just want to do something like this. Okay, so this is not a design project tutorial. This is just to show you how to work with background in Adobe Illustrator a bit. So let's assume this is our background now. We just want to add some little more element here now, just to start making a design. Okay, so we can just have something like this, and I can just place my image here. Okay, and with that, you see that we can start creating our piece of what? Of design. Do you get my point now? So simply, this is just to explain it in the simplest form, that if you want to create a plain background with one color fill, just create a shape to cover your hardboard area, then come to either control panel here, either control area here, or color panel here, or this area, and just double tap on it and select your favorite what? Color. Or just make use of all this, or you can just enter the color code here. Okay, and that leads me to the different color mode we have. We have RGB, then we have CYMK. Okay, remember I've told you earlier that your RGB color code is good for digital designs. Why? Any design you are making for print, you have to make use of CMYK color mode. Okay, it's as simple as that. Okay, so now let's assume that you are not creating a plain background with just one fill color. Let's assume you want to do something related to a gradient. You want to have a gradient fill background. How can you do this? Okay, how can you do this? It's very simple. What you need to do is to draw a shape also to fill this area. Okay, firstly, you have to understand how gradient actually works. How does gradient works? Gradient is just a fusion of two colors. And take note, these two colors that you are using to create a gradient, they must be related. Okay, you can't just pick up a blue and just pick up yellow straight forward like that to just create a gradient. Actually, you can do that, but it doesn't make sense for you to use for a project. Do you get it now? It doesn't make sense for you to use it in a what? In a project. So if your gradient is just like a transition from one color to the other, Okay, let's assume just a transition of color from white to black, or transition of color from red to orange. Okay, that's an example of a what, of a gradient, and it still works. So when working with a gradient background, just make sure that the colors you are using for that gradient are related color. And how can you achieve that? Okay, this is it. You need to draw, let's assume we want to fill this area now with a gradient background. I want to create it from Adobe Illustrator. What you need to do is to draw an artboard. Draw a shape rather. Draw a shape to cover the artboard area. Then you come to color palette here. Then you select gradient. Look at it. Color palette here. So we have this as color guide. We have this normal color. We have swift color. Then we have this gradient. Now here we have different type of gradient. And take note of something. If you look at this area, you will see that we have, if you look at this area, especially if you come here, okay, you will see that we have some pre-made gradients, okay, like this. Can you see now? You see that we have this gradient, but yet you need to know how to create your whole background from scratch. And that's what I'm explaining right now. Okay. So you have to come to this color panel area here. Then you click on gradient. Then remember we have different types of gradients. Okay. We have different types of what? Of gradients. We have the linear gradient. Okay. We have we have the radial gradient, and we have the last one, the freeform gradient. Okay, this is just to show you that we have different pattern of a gradient, how the color actually transition. Look at these areas now. This area was filled with what? Four colors. And look at how they merge together to what? Look at how they fuse together to create a what? A gradient now. So the overall now is actually a gradient, but it was a fusion of what? Four different colors using what? Freeform gradient. So now let's start with the basic one, which is linear gradient. For a linear gradient, you can easily have just two images. Let me delete all this now. Okay, because I've actually selected a pattern of gradients here before. That's the reason why I have something like this. So now let's assume we want to be the one to create our gradient from scratch now. And you select on linear gradient here. So what are you going to have? We're going to have a transition of from one color to the other here. So I'll just advise you to stick with two first. Stick with two. Then let your position to always be at 50%. Except you don't want, let the location, this this gradient slider, let the location always be at 50%, except you want to have more of this color than this. But if you want to have equal color, okay, if you want to have equal color, then you have to set the location of your gradient slider to what? To 50%. Okay, you get it now. So now for you to be able to change the color of this gradient, what do you need to do? What you need to do is very simple. Just look at this area here. Can you see? Look at this area here. Double tap on it. Double tap. Okay, so it's going to bring out what? A color code for you. Okay, it's going to bring out this color palette for you, and you can easily make use of color picker. Okay, and if you don't want to use your color picker, you can make use of the color code there, or just select a random color here. So now we are going to start with the fusion of orange to red and see how it's going to work. So now I'm going to select my orange color here. Okay, now this area, yes. So this is actually an orange now. Good. Okay, so look at the color code now. FFB 900. Good. So why this one? I'm going to have a very pure red here now. So I'm going to select this red. Good. So now look at this gradient now. You see that they still look what? More nice and a bit appealing, right? And appealing depending on the nature of the project. You get my point now? So let's assume you want to create a poster. okay, an advert flyer for a food brand, and their color code is orange and red. And now you want to have some exciting pattern, okay, you want to have some exciting thing as the background of the poster. You can easily make use of gradient, okay, you can easily make use of gradient. And another industry that makes use of gradient very well as their background is web3, okay, the web3 space, the web3 industry now, they focus more on gradient. So and that's the reason why it's important for you to know how to create this background, how to create this gradient from scratch, okay, because what they might be providing you at times might just be their color code, okay, and they need a very exciting an appealing gradient as the background of the project. So you have to be the one to determine the nature of the what of the gradient. So now this is how to create a linear gradient in the simplest form. So now you can just use your gradient slider now to now determine how you want to have it. Can you see now? So it's as simple as that. Okay. So now if you want to have an equal color, and you can still do something else also. If you don't want to have it plain like this on your design, you can decide to just rotate it, okay, you can decide to just rotate it like this, then increase the size so that it can cover up the whole space. Remember this or artboard area now. So can you see now, with this now we are good to go if we want to use it for a project. Do you get it now? So at times you might just need to rotate the angle for you to get the perfect one you need for your design. So take note of that. Okay, so basically I've shown you how to make use of your linear gradient now, right? Good. Another type of gradient we have there, let's duplicate this. Good. Another type of gradient we have there now, okay, is this our radial gradient. So you can easily see the difference between the radial and the linear now. Can you see? So let's have the last one here so that we can be seeing the three. So I've actually duplicated it here now. And for this, I'm going to select my freeform what? Gradient. Okay. So my freeform means I have to have a what? Some other color attached there. So now let's assume I just need to input the orange here. Okay, so let me explain this before we get over to this. Okay, so that my explanation will not become too overwhelming. Right? Good. So here, this is our radial what gradient, and looking at it, you can easily spot the difference on how this radial gradient feel. Okay, compared to this linear gradient. Are you seeing the difference now? Are you seeing the difference now? Do you get it now? Are you seeing the difference? Okay, so this is as simple as this, okay. So and with this now you can still change the what, you can still use your gradient slider. Can you see now? Let's assume I want to have more of the orange now. I can easily what, increase it. Okay, can you see now? Good. And I think it's actually nice there, and you can still rely on that 50%. Okay, so can you see now? And same way we actually rotate this the other time, you can do that if you know that's a feel that is going to make your project exciting. Okay, do you get it now? So now we have a what? A gradient. Okay, using our radial gradient. Do you get it now? So the free form helps us to have more than two colors because they're actually working with cardinal points. Okay, and if you want to edit this gradient, you can make use of line or point. Okay, so when you are making use of point, this area give you access to actually what, change the color. Do you get it now? So if I double tap on any of these anchor point now, any of these cardinal point, then I can easily what, change the color. So let's assume want to have good something like this here. Good. So can you see now? Can you see how they all what, match together? And to even make one more obvious than the other, I can just drag it. I can drag it from this location. Can you see now? Can you see? So if I drag this to this area and I drag this to this area. Look at what we're having now. So can you see now? It's not looking more it's not getting any better, okay, compared to what we have earlier. So it means that how you have it is actually what good. But yet, in order to match your taste, you have these cardinal points now to make what adjustment to hit. That's just my essence of what of dragging this. Now look at this alone. Now this can actually works for a project. You get my point now. This can actually works for a project because a style of gradients cannot work for all the projects, and this one can actually work, yes, especially for a Web3 project using the color within their color scheme. If they have colors related to this, okay, remember that we drag this under the cardinal point, we drag this one, okay, edit content. This is what I'm talking about. We drag this point from this here to here now, and you can see the amazing thing is actually displaying. So this still look what nice, right? This still looks nice. So it's as simple as that. So far so good. I've shown you how to just create a what? A play background for your design. And now how you can make use of your gradient too, okay, to create a background for your design also. Do you get it now? Good. So the next thing I want to show you now, let's just try something. Let's try to create um an abstract design, an abstract let's try to create an abstract background now, okay. So and this background we're going to be creating now, I'm going to call it sunburst. Sunburst background. So now we are going to create a sunburst background, and probably after creating the background you might have said something like that before, so I want to show you how to do that. So just watch me closely. After I'm done with this background, you might have come across something like that because it's actually a common type of background. So I want to show you how to just do something like that in Adobe Illustrator. So what you need to do now is to click on line, okay. So and just draw the line, then you can just drag it a bit. I'll click on shift, okay. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to draw a straight line holding my shift. Can you see now? Then I will give it a color so that you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to give it a color. Let me give it a stroke color set and give it like 3. So the width will be 3. Okay. The weight of the stroke will be what? Will be 3. So now basically we have something like this. So we have something like this. So this is what I'm going to do now. I'm going to rotate this to like 10 or 15. Okay. And for me to be able to rotate this, I'll just highlight it. I'll right click on it. Can you see? Then I'll click on transform. I'll click on rotate. Then I'll just give it 15%. 15 will be okay. Or I can even give it 5%, but I want to use 15. So now instead of clicking on OK, if I click on OK, it's going to rotate this shape that I have. But I still want to have a copy of this shape. I still want to have a copy of this shape. So I'm not going to click on OK. I'm just going to click on copy. Okay. So I'm going to click on copy. So can you see now? And with that now, I can continue to press Ctrl D on my keyboard. If I continue to press Ctrl D, you're going to see what will happen now. So can you see now? Good. So instead of going back to that, so instead of going back to right clicking and keep on rotating it with 15 degree, not percent now, it's actually degree, sorry. Sorry. So instead of doing that, what I did, okay, was to rotate one and click on Ctrl plus D on my keyboard, then it is going to duplicate the what? The 15%. So can you see what we have now? Good. So it's as simple as what? As that. So with this now, I can decide to increase the weight of the stroke to like 5. Okay, I think 5 is okay. Let's increase it to 10. So I'll increase it to 10. I have something like this. So now I'm going to what? I'm going to increase it. Good. And for me to be able to do this now, I need to do something. I want to convert this outline now. Okay, this is actually a stroke now. So I want to convert the stroke, the width of this stroke now. I want to convert it to a shape like this now. Okay, so this is what I'm going to do. I'll highlight everything. Okay, I'll highlight everything. I'll come to object here. Then I'll click on parts. Then I'll click on outline stroke. So instead of having this now as stroke, I've now have it as a shape. So with that now, I can decide, let me just duplicate this area now. I'll duplicate this. So with this now, let me group it together first. I can decide now to remove this center here by clicking on my shift M and just delete the center. As simple as that. Okay. Okay. So can you see now? I've make a hole at the center, but yet I'm not doing something like that. Okay. So this is basically what I want to have. Remember, what I want to create is a sunburst what background. So now I'm going to move this aside because that's what I want to achieve with that. So just watch me closely what I'm about to do now. So I'm going to give my background, I can decide to give it a gradient background so that it will make it even more exciting. So let's give it a gradient background. I actually duplicate one of the gradients we have here before, and I believe you know how I actually create these gradients. Okay, so now I have this gradient now, and I have this as my sunburst. Okay, so what I just need to do is to give this a color. Okay, a color that is going to match a bit. I can just decide to give it white or even have it as this black. Then I will increase the size so that all my stroke lines can actually go outside this word, outside outside this word, outside this shape. So can you see what I have here now? So can you see? So now with this one now, remember what I want to create is a sunburst background. I can now decide to reduce the opacity. Okay, I can now decide to reduce it to either 15 or 10. Let's have it in 10 and see what we have. So can you see now? Have you seen something like this before? Good. So now looking at this doesn't look perfect, right? Good. But I just intend to show you first the what? The initial process so that we are going to create a perfect one together now. So I'm going to delete this. I'm going to delete this. I'm going to add this shape now. Then I'm going to lock it at the background. Good. I'm going to lock it at the background. Then there's also an approach to that. We're going to be creating it with these two approach now. Okay. So I can decide to create my line again. Can you see? Just have this straight line across this. Let me increase it. I'm going to give it a stroke now. And the width will be 20. Let's give it a 20 width stroke now. So can you see? Good. So I'm going to rotate this first one, transform, rotate. Then now I don't want to use 15% again. I want to use 5, just 5%. So I'll click on copy instead of OK. And I believe you know the reason for that now, right? Good. So I'll click on copy. Can you see the 15 now? But yet the 15 is too close to this. So I still need to give it a little more space. So I'm going to delete this. I'll click on this one again. I'll click on this again. Then I'm going to click on, just watch me now. I'm going to click on transform again, rotate. Then now let's just make use of our 15%, our initial 15. So I'll click on copy. Good. I'm working with the spaces there, and I think I look at it. The when I use 5 as a rotation degree, the space is too close. So, and it doesn't make sense that way. So I have to increase it to 15. So I'm going to create Control D again. Sorry, Control D. Okay. So if then I need to delete this last two. So can you see now? So we have something like this. I can decide to increase the size, and I can even change the weight to 30. 30. Can you see now? Good. So with this now, using the method I actually used earlier, I'm going to convert the what? I'm going to convert the stroke to shape now. So this is what we have. So can you see now? So can you see now? It's as simple as that. So here now I'm going to choose a color related to what we have. I can decide to even use a yellow. Okay, just use yellow. Okay, I can decide to use yellow or even a lighter yellow. Okay, I can decide to use a lighter yellow. Okay, so remember we're not giving it a stroke feel. Okay, so can you see now? What I need to do is to make use of I need to group it together. Good. Then make use of my opacity panel now to now reduce the transparency. Okay, to reduce the what? The transparency. So can you see now? Have you come across a background like this? Okay, so this is showing you practically how to create something like that there. Okay, so this area is actually too big, but yet we can do something. Okay, so you can decide to what? To cut out that part and make it what? Open. But this is just to show you basically how to what? How to do it. So you get it now. It's as simple as what? As this. So now I can now create another shape to claim mass it so that we can just have it. So I can still reduce it to like 5. Let's just make it 5 so that we won't get that feel very well. So can you see now we're having some anxiety thing here now? Okay, they actually change the gradient we have what earlier. So I can try to change the color from that color to white also. Can you see? Or even black, or even red, or even any color. Okay, just make sure that the color you'll be using will actually be what? Be related. Will actually be related. Okay, so let me control it back to what we have earlier. So can you see now? Now, for me to be able to clip mask this now to just cover my hardboard area now, I need to what? Create a square shape now to cover this hardboard. Okay, so can you see now? Good. V. Okay, then I'm going to highlight it together. Then I'm going to click on make a what? A clipping mask. You get it now? Good. Okay, so you get it now? It's as simple as what? As this. So now this is what we have. Okay, this can actually serve as a what? As a background. But yet we have another approach to it. So I'm going to unlock the background that I have here. Then I'm going to align these two and just have these here. Good. I need good. So I actually unlock my words, the gradient I have the background, then move it so I can group it together. Can you see what we have now? Can you see what we have? Yet there's an approach to this, and that's what we're going to be doing right now. So here now I'm going to draw a rectangle. The first time we use a what? The first time we use a line, right? Here we're going to use rectangle 2. So I'm going to create a rectangle just like this. Okay, then I'm going to give it black color so that I can see what I'm doing. Can you see? Can you see? Good. So here now, I'm going to have my anchor point here. Then I'm going to work with the anchor point. Okay. So I'm going to create two anchor points at the center of this rectangle. Just look at it. Oh. Have you seen the rectangle that I've actually created now? Okay. So at the center, I'm going to add two anchor points. So use, using my pen tool, so I'm going to create the two anchor points here, then and here also. So can you see what we have? So with this anchor point now, I can easily do something. Move this in. Okay. Then this one also. So can you see I have something like this? Okay, just watch me how this is going to transform. So what I intend to achieve with this is, looking at this sunburst background, we have a very big circle at the center, right? Good. So with what I'm doing here, I want to eliminate that. Do you get it now? So that's the reason why I have to create this what? This now. Sorry. So can you see how I actually achieve this now? Let me undo. Watch me closely again. Okay, I've actually created additional two anchor points at the center, and I click on my direct selection tool. I double tap on this area, move it in to the center, then double tap on this area also, move it into the what? To the center. So this is what I have now. So I can now repeat the process that I've done earlier by what? By rotating it. So here now it's going to give me 15% also. I'll click on copy, then Control D also. So can you see now? Good. So can you see what I have now? You can see that we now have an exciting sunburst pattern compared to this first one. Do you get it now? So and basically that's what I want to achieve with that. So now this now we can easily group it together, then give it this color. Okay, I just use our color picker tool. Then I can drag in my background, the gradient that we have earlier. We can group it. Remember, we group it together with this ungroup. Then we have our gradient, so we can just copy. Let's duplicate it so that we can have it and see the difference. So here now, align these two together and group it again. Okay, so it's as simple as what? As this. So you're going to have this here now. Okay, and increase the size. Increase the size. Good. So can you see now? Still increase the size so that good. So can you see now? It's as simple as this, and you can now give it a center alignment now. Good. So that everything will be what? Will be perfect. So with this now, all you have to do is to come to your opacity and what? And reduce the opacity. So you can give it like depending on how you want it to be, but 10% is still okay. 10 to 15% is what? Is okay. And remember, you have to use a related color, okay, so that you can make that feel more what? Appealing. So let's have it at 15. So can you see now? I have that exciting what? Center compared to what I have earlier. Do you get my point now? So this will work in some cases, why this will work in what? In another cases. Do you get it now? Good. And you can also decide to increase the weight of this thing just to fit into the what? To the perfect sizes that you need it. Do you get my point now? So I can create a shape over this now to clip mask. Good. Okay. So I'll clip mask it now. Make a clip mask. So can you see now? So here basically now I've been able to have a what? A sunburst background. And I can do some other things like adding a blur to this background now. I can just create a simple circle here. Okay, that will cover that part. Good. Then I'll have something like this. Okay. So can you see now? Then I can just click on it and click on effects. Okay. Then I'm going to have a blur effect. Okay, one of the then the blur effect I'm going to be using now is going to be Gaussian blur. Okay. So look at it now. Let me just drag it away and see how it will look. Can you see now? It's supposed to show the preview now. So can you see? So instead of just having that place open like that, I can still what? I can still have something like this there. So can you see the difference with what we have earlier now? So I can decide to increase it also, and it can also help you to create an anxiety pattern also. You can reduce the opacity. Okay, but basically this is what I want to have there. So can you see now? So can you see now? So this is actually an abstract background, okay, a sunburst abstract background that we have just created successfully in what? In Adobe Illustrator. So can you see now? Good, good. So you can just what? So now, like I said earlier, I'm teaching you how to work with background in Adobe Illustrator, and I've taught you three processes for you to create what an exciting background so far. You can see how we created this outburst background, how we created the gradient background, and how we easily created the what? The plain background with one field color. So, but yet we have some website that give you access to a lot, a lot of pre-made background that you can easily use for your design, and that's what I'll be showing you right now. Let's just move. Good, good. The first website I'm going to show you is Unsplash. Unsplash will give you access to a lot of what of images with high resolution including background. What you just need to do is to know how to use the right keyword. For example, if you just search for a background, let's just search for a background, then you're going to see a lot of background. Can you see now? This can actually, with little more modification, this can actually work for a design depending on what? On the project. Looking at all this, can you see now? Good. Look at this gradient now. Can you see this gradient background? So I believe you can create something like this now from scratch in Adobe Illustrator. Can you? Okay. So you can see now this is actually a what? A simple background. Can you see now? And with this one, you can create this width using your free form. Okay, using your free form gradient tool in Adobe Illustrator, you can create something like this. So I'm going to download it and give you for a practice. So I've actually downloaded it. You're going to do this as an assignment. This is one of the assignments. Okay, so looking at this also, this is actually a nice pattern. This is actually a nice background also that you can delete. And using the right keyword can also give you, for example, a let's look like let's search for something like a poster background. A poster background is going to give you a more words customized words background more than just using a random word. Can you see? It's something like this can work. So now I'm going to download. I've actually downloaded this. Then I'm going to download this right now and show you something before we go in Adobe Illustrator. Okay. So another website that that also give you access to free a lot of free background images is also Freepik. Okay, Freepik give you access to what? To a lot. Though they have some premium background here, but yet you still have access to a lot of free bees here also. So these are the two websites I'm going to recommend for now. Okay, do you get it now? So now let's go back to Adobe Illustrator and let me show you the last thing I intend to show you before we end this video. Okay, and what I intend to show you is how you can make use of this opacity area here to merge two backgrounds together, okay, and to create an exciting background in Adobe Illustrator. So this is what I'm going to do now. I'm going to drag in the two images that we have actually downloaded. Can you see now? These are the two images now. So I'm going to drag it to Adobe Illustrator. So can you see now? Good. So can you see? So now let's assume this is what we have. Remember, you can easily make use of your crop tool. Okay, you can easily make use of your crop tool now to crop it to the what? To the size that we need, or and you can just adjust it here. Okay, so let's just use 800 by 800 here. 800 by 800. Okay, so we just have this angle alone. Okay, so it's fitting here, and this one also I can reduce it. Okay, then I can now come to crop image, then set it to 800 by 800. Okay, so it's not up to 800, so let's just reduce it to 300 by 300, and I can now increase it. Good, to fit in the way. I hope you are seeing what I'm doing. Okay, so if you have any question, just let me know. Do you get it now? If you have any question, let me know. So I have this now. Okay, so I want to, this is what I want to do now. These are two different background images now. But let's assume I want to use these two background images here together as a background for 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 my project. Okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to merge these two backgrounds together using my opacity panel here. Okay, so I'm going to have this under and I'm going to have this over it. Okay, so can you see now? So can you see now? Good. Then I'm going to come to this opacity here and look at this area, the blending mode. What I want to do is I want to blend the two images together. Okay, so and there are different options for you to do that. You can use a darken method, you can use a multiply, you can use a color bond. And take note of something, all these methods actually have their own unique feel they are going to give the project. For example, if I use a darken, if I use a multiply now, so can you see? You can easily see the pattern of this image now in this background. Can you see? Can you see now? So it's as simple as that. I multiply the two images together. So looking at it now, you can easily see the pattern of this from this instead of having this as a what? As a plain image like we have it earlier. So I can decide not to use the multiply. I can use color bond. Okay. Can you compare it to what, to the initial? Look at the feel of this one now. Look at what we use. Look at what we have when we use our color bond. Can you see now? I had decided not to use color bond and use what? Screen. I can use screen. I can use overlay. Okay, I can use soft light. I can use hard light. Do you get it now? So depending on, so it means that all of these now, we don't have the right one and we don't have the wrong one. It only depends on what you want to achieve. Okay, so this now give you an access to what, to explore this area. Okay, this give you an access to explore this area. So I hope you understand what I've been showing you earlier. Okay, so see you in the next video.